Good morning, it's Scott with Gunner's Garage. Have you ever wanted to install a backup camera in your Jeep? Are you worried it won't work with your factory Sirius radio? Stay tuned, follow along as I install a backup camera in my 2017 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. Alright, like I said, we're working on a project I have wanted since day one on the Jeep, and it's a big one, and it's going to cause some problems. Let's find out. Alright, what we have here is from Echo Master. I ordered it through Northridge 4x4. It's a backup camera, and it's supposed to be a straightforward, easy design install. So the first thing we have is the bullet style flush mount camera with parking lines. What I like about this setup, the camera actually is not in here. This is just the wiring for it. But it comes with the hole saw. We have zip ties, wire connector, warranty card, the camera, but this mounts on the spare tire carrier behind the tire and peeks out through the tire between the spokes. Here we are at the spare tire. Can you see the problem? There's no spokes. How's that going to peek through there? It plugs into the factory stereo, and it actually unlocks the safety feature where your passenger can type in destinations while you're driving. You can then also turn on and off your backup camera at will, and also finally when you put the vehicle in reverse, you also get a backup camera. And a secondary mess of wires. Fortunately, looks like there is destructions. Important, follow the exact sequence of installation. Okay. Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I've just skimmed these instructions. I have not read them. I'm kind of intimidated. Yeah. Alright, boys and girls. I haven't even started and this went sideways. I got a hold of customer service and they walked me through this. Behind your dash, behind your radio, there is a connector that goes between this. It is white in color, so white to white. This is your audio visual hookup for all your monitors and everything. This is where your camera wire goes. And then you run this wire to the back of the Jeep. I think you probably hooked that red and black, but it didn't say. I'll figure that out in the next call. This loom is between the stereo. So the wire that plugs into the stereo, you unplug, plug this in, plug this in. This is your loop. These go to your control box. Boom. You have dip switches on the back for controlling what you want to work. There are blue wires here, and blue and red wires. Those two wires are for programming or powering up this toggle switch. This toggle switch is the on-off for the camera if you want to turn it on when you're not in reverse. This is only used if you do not have the button on the back of your steering wheel to control your stereo. This light also is only used if you do not have the Sirius type radio where you have to confirm you are in safe mode, or safe mode is turned off for navigation while moving so your passenger can do your navigation. This is just a blink light to let you know that happened. Alright, with my second call to tech support, what I have found is a young yellow RCA to your white harness. There's a jack for that. Your little black one that matches the camera goes to the camera. The other two wires, the black and the red, the black is ground, the red goes to programmable outlet number 1, 10 amp max on the gray harness. So really all I need to do is figure out where this needs to go and shorten up wires and make this all look pretty after I take apart my dash and run everything else. Yay! Okay, for this next part, I do not recommend this, and neither does the manufacturer. But I am cutting off the toggle switch and the blinky light wires. So now let's go take out the dash. So what you're going to do is you look up inside the vent, you line up the two holes, and I'll show you in a second. You depress them, turn your vent, and then pull out. And what you're doing is with your vent slightly angled so you can get in here, is you're going up through this hole here and pushing this clip or this lock down. To reinstall, simply slide it in and turn. So let's do the other two vents. Now if you look up in here and you do not see a hole, turn your vent 180 degrees and you will see it. And that's it. Now to take the rest of the dash off. Top center of your tray. Just be careful when you're doing this that you don't hit your windshield with your socket. Before we do any more of the screws, reach through the dash holes, pop out your window controller. You don't have a lot of room, but you have a little red lever. Pop that up, and then depress your switch and unplug it. There you go. Now your switch is out. Now what we're going to do is take the lower kick panel off the dash. Just reach in. It pops off on both sides. Once it's popped loose on both sides, it hinges down and pulls out. And then you have a screw here and one on the opposite side, both 7mm to take off your dash. Passenger side of the steering wheel up towards the top is where your final screw is. Alright, all 4 screws removed, one on each side of the steering wheel, center behind the window switches, top center behind the phone mounts or underneath the little tray, plastic tray cup, and then you just pop it out. I'm going to lower the steering wheel down so I have more room. And being very nervous because I haven't done this before on this particular Jeep. And the dash is out. Alright, so now on each side of the radio you have 2 more screws, so a total of 4 screws to pull the stereo out. Now you just simply pull the radio out. It will be stiff. On the back side of the radio, you have your antenna, your satellite antenna, and then your connection ports to plug in the radio. We got the main loom for the radio, secondary loom for the radio, both antennas. The white one is your normal antenna, your yellow one is your satellite. So to start plugging this in, the white-ended wire loom on other Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep models with the rear entertainment center, the other end of this plugs in there. But since this Jeep does not have that, you simply plug in. This is going to dangle, and this yellow one is what your camera plugs into. I'm going to bring the camera wire up through the hole. Plug that in right here. All right, there's 3 sets of audio-visual wires in this kit. The one I hooked up to was the wrong one. It was one of the 3 that were loose. What you need to do is look for another one, and it is labeled here. The yellow labeled camera. Plug in the radio. Boom. This plugs into the dash or into the factory loom. These plug into the box that comes with the control panel. So I'm going to run those. So now we're going to run our wires down for the gray loom. Alright, so plug in the gray loom. It only goes one way. Chuck that wire back down and out of the way. Large gray to large gray. Small gray to small gray. White is the one closest to the passenger side. Antennas, yellow, yellow, white, white. Carefully kind of tuck everything in and out of the way. Okay, so I've got all the wires ran down to the glove box area. All I need to do now is wire this little mess up. Alright, we're going to take a red lead for the camera to the programmable outlet number 1. Plug that in. The ground goes to a ground. This is the camera wire going to the back of the Jeep. I just have it ran to the camera. It sits on the passenger seat right now. Plug in the aux. And these are to get the 2 yellow flashing lights. Turn the ignition on. Takes a second to learn. Start it up. Put it in reverse. I got a backup camera that is pointing at my roof or my ceiling. Passenger side back button center, push and hold. Press again to confirm passenger usage. Acknowledge NU activated. What this means is while we're driving, my passenger should be able to run the navigation. Driver side middle button, press and hold, and it turns on the camera. If I can't see out my back window, which is 90% of the time with all the stuff for overlanding, I can run with that and see what's going on behind me. Alright, radio's bolted in. Now to set the dash in. Pretty straightforward. Mirror control, or your window control. Alright, what I've done, or what I'm going to do, is just simply some Velcro that has adhesive on the back side of it, and then mount this up underneath the dash. Alright, what I did was run the wiring from the dash along the floor panel, along the seat, along the back seat, and yes, I do need to vacuum out my carpet. That looks pretty rough. And then underneath the hardtop, around the back, and down to the tailgate. I've got the wire tucked all along underneath the hardtop, underneath the curtain, behind this panel. It'll come out along this. Unfortunately, I can't properly tuck the wires behind everything because of all the cabinetry, because of the hardtop. So that's going to go on my list of to-dos next time I take the tent top cabinets out, is to finish hiding these wires a little better than they are. Alright, so I drilled a hole in the back of the tire mount. Looks like there's an arrow for the top. Let's just double check. Alright, with the camera mounted, that's about 4 foot to the ball of the trailer, and I lost it in the camera right there. Alright, so that's a wrap. Camera is in, everything's hidden. I will order a second camera and put that on a removable plate that I'll hook to my trasheroo. That way when I am traveling, all I got to do is unplug one, plug the other one in, and I'm good to go. I still have a backup camera. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, see you next week.